Today, we are going to talk about Greece colonized and democracy begins. Wow, it's a mouthful title. Yes, I got it from that curriculum book that we are using for the past couple of years in our school.
So let's talk about the name itself, Greece. And if you're traveling back in time, back into the time of like the ancient Greece, the Greeks will not going to call themselves as we are the Greeks. No, they won't. In fact, they will call their nation as the Hellas or Hellas. Yes, Hellas to Greece. I have no idea how it ended up like become Greece. But anyway, the name Hellas is from someone, a mythical person, someone by the name of Helen. No, got nothing to do with Helen of Sparta, but Helen was considered to be as the ancestor of the Greek people, of the ancient Greek people. Anything that's related with the Greek, the language, the culture, the people, the cuisine, the food, the music, the literature, we call it as the Hellenistic. Now the ancient Greece, they also have a quite long period of history that the historian must divide it into several chapters. The first chapters, we already covered it in the Minoan civilization and also the Mycenaean, also known as the Mycenaean Greek. And after the Mycenaean Greek era, Greek fall into the Dark Age. Now, what does that mean by Dark Age? Dark Age means like, there's nothing much happening in Greece and not even not even records, not even archaeological foundings. And until finally the Archaic Period. Archaic Period is the time when the Greeks, they start to settle down in this land surrounding the Aegean Seas and also the island, and then also the islands surrounding the Aegean Seas. Even some of the Greeks, they built their cities in Asia Minor and also the Italian peninsula. Yes, that peninsula that looks like a boot. The ancient Greek, they were not united as one single nation like the ancient Egyptian, for example. They were consist of a different groups and then they governed themselves. They organized themselves into what we call as the city-states. Yes, city-states or polis. So if it's plural, if it's more than one, then call it as a polei. Each city-states were independent. Each city-states, they were governed by themselves, and then they have their own custom, they have their own law system, and sometimes one city-states will not going to get along with another city-states. And sometimes also, one city-states become friend or become ally with another city-states. Now, however, there is this one thing that unified all of the city-states, which is several things. The Greeks, they believe in the Greek mythological gods, which is Zeus is the chief god of all. And every 4 years, they will meet up together to have a Olympic festival. And not just that one, sometimes all of the city-states, they will meet up together in particular places by the name of Delphi, because in that city, in the city of Delphi, there was this temple for Apollo, god of knowledge and also god of music. And then they will and then they will gather up to discuss something that very important, something that is very special. And they will consult decision based on the Oracle of Delphi. Oracle of Delphi? We'll talk more about the Oracle of Delphi next in the future when we talk about the Persian War. So these are the things that unified Greek somehow. Their belief system or their religion, and also they are routinely visiting like the city of Delphi to have meetings. The land of the Greeks was very rugged. Most of the land are not that fertile, and then for them to build farm that can produce food, it's something that is very challenging. Now what I'm trying to say is, these Greeks, they built the city-states, but their city-state could no longer be able to grow even bigger as long they could not build more farms.
They need more farms
In order for them to have some food. In order for your city to become bigger, then you need more food. And then the more food that you produce, the bigger that your city can grow, the powerful you can be. Now, as for these ancient Greeks, because they do not have enough room to grow, because they do not have enough room for everyone to stay in one particular places, therefore, they will start to send some groups of the people from that city. We call them as the citizens. Yeah, the people who are living in that particular city, they were being called as the citizen. They start to send group of the citizens to go somewhere else to build another city, to build another settlement far away from the mother city. The goal is to disperse the crowd in the city and then to expand the place to live for these people, for the citizen. Now, even though they are separated from the mother city, from their motherland, they still maintaining good relationship with their mother cities. Now this new settled city, now this newly built city, known as the colony, and then if it's more than one, called as the colonies. Yes, that is the plural form of the colony. Now sometimes though, the colony can become more powerful, bigger than the native mother city. And as a result, some of this colony, they gain independence from the mother city. Some of the notable Greek city-states during this time were Athens, Argos, Thebes, Corinth, yes, the city of Corinth, the name of the city that you can find in the Bible, Delphi, and also Sparta. While the other city-states, they have their own ways to govern their own city-states, Athens was unique because they were the one who found what we call democracy. It's the type of a government that requires a group of representative of a group of representative of her citizens to participate in making the important decision for the city, to make an important law or policy for that particular city. Now, it is a very brilliant idea, and it was considered to be very new in that past, because in the past, most of the time, most of the city, most of the kingdom, they will rely on one particular person to make the call, to make the final decision, usually a king. But you know the problem with the king, right? So if you have a great king, then good. But then again, if you have you have a cruel king, you're doomed. Okay? So to avoid that extreme, the Athenians, they developed this kind of governmental system known as democracy. Oh, the word democracy is from the Greek word, means people's power. Basically, demos, kratos. Demos means many, kratos means power. Now, how it works? Now, the city of Athens, they will have a group of council. Now, this group of council, they will pick randomly 6,000 men to become part of the assembly or the citizen assembly. Now, this 6,000 men, this 6,000 assembly, they will be able to participate in voting for an important decisions that the city must make, or a significant law that will require everyone in the city to follow. Now, this was being designed to ensure that the voices or the opinion of everyone in the city is being well represented through this assembly, the 6,000 men of representative. Once this assembly casts their vote, and then the results based on the majority of the vote will become or will be implemented as the law or will be implemented into the decisions. And furthermore, the city councils will elect some of the military generals to make sure that this policy or this law is being implemented into the city, is being practiced into the city, and make sure that everybody follow the law, everybody follow the decision that the council and also the assembly made. Now, this military general, they have a fancy term for that. The ancient Greek called them as the strategoi. Perhaps that's where you get the word strategy, because the strategoi basically is the military general. These are the people who really know how to lead a war. Who can participate to become member of the assembly? Who can be elected as the assembly members? Technically, if you're Athenian citizen, then you are eligible to become part of the assembly. Well, in reality, of course, not everyone though. You have to be grown-up male Athenian citizen. So therefore, this assembly member are prohibited for the women and also for the slaves and also for the foreigners, because somehow the slave and the foreigners, they are not Athenian citizen. And for the women who cannot join because they are not men. I know, that was Athenians way, that was the ancient Athenians way, of course. Now, 21st century, things are so much different than before. So this type of government considered to be very successful, even though it's not the best. And then later on is being copied by the Romans, and later on is being copied by many nations in the modern time, including our country Indonesia. Indonesia itself adopting the idea about democracy into our governmental system. Of course, things are going to become more complicated, but we will not gonna go there, okay? It's just way too complicated. Of course, as I said earlier, the idea of using democracy as a governmental system it was based upon that their worries about having someone who become too powerful, who become too bossy over everyone, to avoiding those kind of like situation. That's why the Athenians, they developed this kind of like system of democracy, which is involving as many as people to represent themselves in that governmental system itself, in making decisions, in making policies. However, though, it's far from perfect. As human, as sinful nature as it can be, over the times, this democracy system, it become corrupted, and then it has a loopholes, and somehow make the system become unfair, because the one who eventually ruling over all of them is one particular person, or known as the tyrant. Okay, this tyrant end up acting like as a king, and then somehow the democracy system is just a ceremony only. And then over the years, sometimes it was not also ruled by a tyrant, but then again, it was ruled only a few handful powerful and wealthy family. They are the one who run the city. Not one particular person, but only a handful of a family. Very powerful, very wealthy. Of course, the democracy did not run well, and then it ended up somehow kind of like in failure. The system of government that runs only by few family, that which is powerful and wealthy, we know it as a oligarchy. Yes, that is the definition of what is oligarchy is. Okay, oligarchy, which is the definition is ruled by few numbers of family. So other than Athens, there's also another important city-states in Greece known as a Sparta. For the Athenians, personal individual opinion is very highly praised, is very highly respected, but not the case in Sparta. There is no such thing as a personal opinion. There is no such thing as an individual. Every person in Sparta must give everything they have, including their life, to the city-state itself, Sparta. And the city-state of Sparta, they have like one single goal. Their goal is to become like the strongest city-states in military. Therefore, because of that is their sole purpose, they dictate everyone's life in that city very strict and very serious. If you're a citizen in Sparta, growing up is not going to be easy. First, the men and the women, they cannot choose who they're gonna get married. The city-state is the one who decide who you're going to get married. And after that, the baby that being born in that marriage, if it's not healthy, if it's not considered to be strong and healthy baby, then it will be thrown away in the wilderness. Because the city-states of Sparta only accept the healthy babies. And not just that one, if you're a boy, tough luck. By the time the boy reaches 7 years old, the boy have to say goodbye to his parents, and then the boy will have to live in the military school known as the agoge, which is the city-states will train that boy to become a tough warriors. The training is going to be harsh, the training is going to be violent. For example, the students, the boys, they were being encouraged to steal. If they got caught, they will be beaten in public, but they cannot show an expression of being in pain. The more they cry, the more they show weaknesses, the more they show the emotions considered to be as weaknesses, then they will beat the students even harder. Very harsh, very harsh. And not just that one though, the girls, yes, the girls also have to go to the same training, learning how to fight, learning how to become a warriors. Only the difference is the girls doesn't have to stay in the military school. The girls can stay in their parents' house. So, if you're a burglar and then like you're entering the Spartan house, bad news for you, burglar, because you know why? Every woman in Sparta, they know how to fight. Why they have to train their young very harsh? Because as I said earlier, they have this main goal to make the city-state as powerful city-states. As the boys grew up, the boys become a tough warrior, tough soldiers, very disciplined, will not be afraid of anything, and cowardice is highly, highly discouraged. The greatest sin according to the Sparta is leaving the battlefield, leaving your fellow warriors behind. In fact, if that happens, then the person who returned, he will be ridiculed for the rest of his life, and then eventually he will be encouraged to end his own life. That's a very harsh. However, despite of this harsh and also violent law, the women in Sparta were very highly respected. In fact, women have more important positions in the society of Sparta. Usually they become more wealthier than the men, and usually they become more powerful than the men. Because think it this way, every Spartan woman, they will inherit the properties of their husband if their husband died in the battlefield. And not just that one, the inheritance of that women had will be passed down through the daughters, not to the son, but to the daughters. Several generations later, then what happened with these daughters? Yes, she will accumulate lots of properties. Either they died in the battlefield or they died during the training in agoge or in the military school, that happens a lot. The strongest to the fittest, that is their motto. Those who are considered to be weak, then they will die in the process. Unlike the Spartan who adopt democracy as the government system, in Sparta led by 2 kings. And not just that one, Spartan conquered so many lands, so many city-states that they have a huge amount of slaves, which is they will do most of the work in their land. For example, farming and doing some menial job. In fact, one Sparta will be served by averagely around 7 slaves. These slaves known as the helots. These helots used to be the member of other city-states, but they were being conquered by the Spartan, and then they have to force to serve their Spartan masters. Now, expressing emotion is something that is considered to be as a weaknesses. There is this tradition whenever the Spartan have to go to war and the Spartan have to send their warriors, send their soldiers to the war, and every woman in the city of Sparta, the mother, the wife, and the daughters, of course, they will have to say goodbye to their men, to their husband, to their son, and to their brother. The women are not allowed to cry. The women are not allowed to express emotion when they were saying goodbye. But instead, they will do this tradition. The women will hand over this big, giant, round, heavy shield, that is a very important tool for the Spartan, the rounded, heavy shield. And the women will say, Spartan, return with it, the shield, or on it, that means the Spartan warriors, they were being encouraged to hold their ground no matter what, to win the battle no matter what. If they have to die, then the shield, this big rounded heavy shield, will be used as the stretcher to carry their dead body back to the city of Sparta to receive a proper burial. So there you go, Greece colonized and democracy begins. Tell me, what do you think about it? Which city-states do you think you prefer to stay? In Sparta or Athens? Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next time. God bless you guys all. Bye-bye.